Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by DKI Canada. Across the street, across the country. He was one of the top power forwards in the game. The first black player to score 40 goals. Tony McKegney. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Our guest today was born in Montreal, but raised in Sudbury. 6'1", 200-pound power forward, played for the junior Kingston Canadians, a two-time OMJHL All-Star. He had 135 points in 66 games one season. A member of Team Canada at the World Juniors. He was drafted 32nd overall by Buffalo in 1978. Played 13 NHL seasons with Buffalo, Quebec, Minnesota, the Rangers, St. Louis, Detroit, and Chicago. An all-star forward, 320 goals, 319 assists in 912 NHL games. First black player to score 40 goals in an NHL season. Welcome to the program, Tony McKegney. Tony, great to have you here.
Hey, Joe, and thanks for your help, Vic, as well. I'm putting this together. Actually, I grew up in Sarnia, Ontario, not Sudbury.
Sarnia.
Yeah.
Sarnia, I'm sorry. I mixed that up. Sarnia and Sudbury.
No, it's a great memory for me, Joe, because there were 8 guys that made the NHL that grew up on our backyard rink in Sarnia, one of which was Dino Cicerelli, my neighbor, Wayne Merrick, 4 Stanley Cups, a list of guys, Bob Neely, and all these guys, and Mike Crombie, all these families. My dad was an engineer at Imperial Oil, and he figured out how to build a rink. And all these people built their own rinks, and my dad advised them how to build a rink. So all these guys ended up playing in the NHL that grew up playing. Kerry Fraser, the referee, grew up on our rink.
Wow.
And all these guys, Dino Cicerelli, to mention, Hall of Famer. And it was just interesting that my parents knew how to do this. And it was like having your own basketball court in your backyard as a young person. It was a hockey rink. And my dad had floodlights, and he built this board. It was just 8 feet wide by 10 feet, and we just shot pucks at it all the time. He had nets, he had boards on this rink, and I had an advantage playing hockey because I could practice every day. I used to come home at lunch from the school, and I would skate at lunchtime on the rink in the backyard. So it was just an advantage to be able to do that over, skating, everything. And you mentioned about the first person, a black person, to score 40 goals. I think I might have been the first person as a black player to score 10 goals, 20 goals, 30 goals, and then ultimately 40. And then Jarome Iginla sent me a note for my kids, a signed picture. And he said, I'm looking up at your 344 goals, including playoffs, and that was nice for me. He said when he was growing up as a kid, he felt on the schoolyard where he used to play ball hockey that he belonged because I was out there playing, and he could look to me as a black hockey player playing in the National Hockey League. And a few other the guys, younger guys, the black hockey players that came after me, obviously said the same thing, that they felt like they belonged and they were welcome because I was out there playing in the National Hockey League, which made me feel good. And that's probably the best gratification I could have from those guys, Grant Fuhr, saying that when they were trying to get in the National Hockey League.
Well, it's interesting because we had both Grant and Jarome on the show, and they both indicated that you had been an inspiration for them. Vic, I'm going to ask you to play that clip of both of the, Jarome and Grant talking about, inclusion into the game and what they felt in terms of how it was in their time compared to what some of the other players played in.
That guys before me didn't have as easy as I had it and had more issues. And even still in places, there's issues that kids shouldn't have to deal with, and there's racism there's still room for improvement, and they're still working away at it. But it's a great game, and also a locker room. A hockey locker room is made up of so many different nationalities from around the world, and it's part of what makes it special.
Is the NHL doing enough?
I think it's getting better and better. I mean, I've done some stuff with the diversity program where they've reached out to some kids in different areas that would not necessarily get a chance to play hockey. I know here in the Coachella Valley with the American Hockey League team here, we reached out to some areas that would probably never, ever play hockey. But now that we've got the rink here and such, kids are excited about it.
So things have changed quite a bit from the time you played. And we actually had Bernice Carnegie on the show. And Bernice talked about the struggles that her father, Herb, went through, of course, back in the day, not being able to play, period. That was it. And
there were many times that when they were playing other teams, sometimes the fans on the other team were so excited about the three black guys that were out there that they would get cheered on occasions. They'd also get the opposite as well. So, it just depended on where you were and who was in the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know it hurt. Yeah, go ahead.
I used to joke with Grant Fuhr that he got to wear a mask in like 1981, 82 when he came in the league after I'd been there. And I said, look, nobody knows you're black. And then everywhere I go, they know I'm black. And there were some times in certain buildings that people just couldn't handle it. And interestingly enough, when I was growing up, I played in obviously AAA hockey, All-Star, right? They called it back then. And I played in Michigan, Ohio, and all over Ontario, Quebec. And I never played against another black hockey player or with one until my third year in the NHL. So I didn't see anybody else doing what I was doing. And it was hard for people because I pretty much had the puck all the time when I was playing a game when I was a kid. And it was just different. It was just something that was different for people to try to digest all the way up. And hockey was a common denominator for me. And even when I went to the NHL, and thank God I went to Buffalo, which is a border town with Canada. And my parents were able to come to any game they wanted to come to 4 hours away to drive to Buffalo, New York. And I hung out with a lot of the football players who were black athletes at the time, including O.J. Simpson and the Buffalo Bills. And the basketball team actually left town when I came, and I was looking forward to it. I was a big basketball fan. And I was looking forward to watching the NBA, and then the team went to San Diego my first year. But I mean, everybody treated me as an equal. I never felt anything different. In junior hockey, I started playing junior at 14 years old. In fact, I was leading the team at 15 years old and leading the junior B hockey team in scoring. And the goalie was 21 years old, overage guy, had 2 kids, and I couldn't even drive a car. I didn't have a driver's license. Like I was 15 years old. I was walking to the rink from high school. And my dad would pick me up and so on and so forth. But there's one thing that the trainer who'd been around for years in Sarnia, playing junior B, he told my dad that I was going to make the NHL when I was 15 years old. He said he's going to the NHL. He'd seen everybody that came from my hometown, including Pat Stapleton and some other people that made Bill Ahead and some other people that made the NHL. But he told my dad that. My dad told me on the ride home in the car that this guy said, you're going to go in the NHL. And it was just a matter of waiting. And back then, the draft age was 20 years old. And I scored 71 goals, including playoffs at the year that you mentioned, about 135 points. So I scored 71 goals when I was 17, 18. And I'm thinking, like, I'm wasting my time here. I've got to wait till I'm 19, 20 to go to the NHL. And I had to wait because the draft age changed till 18 after I got drafted and went at 19, 20 years old. And Wayne Gretzky sort of changed it because he went to the WHA as an 18-year-old. In that year, we played in the Team Canada Juniors, which was a great experience in saying that. And that sort of brought the age down when he went there to the WHA. And then obviously, eventually Edmonton after Indianapolis. But anyway, it was just something that I knew, just a matter of waiting to get to the NHL.
Well, you bring up the WHA, and that's interesting because one of the reasons that you went a little bit higher than in the draft than most people expected is because you were actually picked by the Toronto Toros / Birmingham Bulls and signed by them, but that didn't come to fruition. Tell us why.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to go there because obviously it was one way, and I was going to be able to play professional hockey. And my best friend in junior, who almost lived at her home, his mother passed away of cancer when we were both 16, and he had every meal at her house. So we were very good friends. And he went to the WHA the year prior to, left our junior team. And I wanted to play with him, and I just thought it'd be fun to play with him and not have to go to the minors if that was a possible option. Or at the time, I just was going to make one-way money. And the season ticket holders there basically found out I was a black person and going to be playing hockey. And my mother, I've never seen my mother cry before. And she was so upset at that situation. And in retrospect, it worked out great because the WHA, I found out, was going to be defunct after the next year, which it was. They went belly up. That team, I believe, maybe became Hartford. I'm not sure where Birmingham became. But anyway, in essence, being drafted by Buffalo, it just all worked out great because my ultimate goal was to go to the NHL, and the WHA was just maybe a year of making some pretty good money, and then knowing that the team was going to be non-existent, as Kenny Linsman went to Philadelphia, got drafted 5th overall, and he ended up having a great NHL career. So that was coming down the pike, and that team was, again, around for one more year, and I was playing in Buffalo in the NHL.
So you get calls. Your mother's getting calls, and she's worrying about what might happen to you if you go down to Birmingham, Alabama. I used to see black hockey players, and they didn't take it very well. And but you actually had a signed contract, from what I understand.
Yeah, I signed a contract, and then I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later that the NHL draft came to be, and everybody just thought I'd signed with Birmingham. And I went to the draft knowing that the contract was defunct, and I met with again, at the time, Alan Eagleson was my representative back in 1978. And it was sort of almost prearranged that I was going to be going to Buffalo. They had a contract ready for me that day at the draft, and they had a check for, I don't know, I think it was $100,000 that I got. I'm like 19, 20 years old. And they had a check waiting for me at that day at the draft in Montreal. So I'd taken the train there. I didn't even really have a car or something. And I'm sitting there with a check for $100,000 and riding in the train. And ironically, I was with Bobby Smith, who was a friend of mine from the Team Canada juniors. And he was going to Ottawa, and I was going back to Sarnia, Ontario. And he had signed previous to the draft with Minnesota, first overall pick. And then anyway, that was one of the first times in Montreal that they had the draft where the high draft picks came to the draft. Hotel, this, that, and the other thing. All the agents are there. Myself and Bobby Smith and a few other guys that were drafted in the first round were present at the draft. But that was the first year, I think, that happened. But I'll tell you a funny story. I was talking to Rob Ray about it. The year that they got drafted, they went to Montreal, and they had the same agent, Rob Ray and Ty Domi. He used to fight every night back in the juniors. Yeah. It was Belleville and maybe Cornwall or something.
Peterborough. I think Domi was Peterborough.
So they fought all the time. So they got in the car and rode in the back seat of their agent's car. And I can't remember who the agent was, all the way to Montreal and back for the draft after fighting all the time for like 2 or 3 years. Classic, right? And so sure enough, fast forward to years later, and Toronto's playing Buffalo, and they're fighting again every game, Buffalo versus Toronto Maple Leafs. Ty Domi and Rob Ray, they're still going at it. And it was just funny to hear the story about them going to the draft together. in the backseat of the car, driven by their agent, and maybe Pat Morris or somebody, possibly.
Right. Yeah.
It was just funny stuff. And I'll tell you another funny story. When Tiger Williams drove with his agent from Western Canada, and they went over the border somewhere in maybe North Dakota or something, because it was a shorter ride to get to Montreal. So they got pulled in because the customs guy said, well, why are you driving through America to go to Montreal, Canada? Why wouldn't you just go in Canada? It was like saved him 3 hours or something. So sure enough, there was a dead fish in the garbage pail next to the office. And Tiger Williams said to the customs guy, he said, oh, I see you've had your lunch. And they held him up for 2 hours.
Smart. Oh my God. What is he thinking? Yeah.
Smart ass comment.
Tiger would be coming from Weyburn, Saskatchewan, going south to North Dakota, and then across, which is probably, which is the region. But Tiger did have the tendency to get in trouble with his mouse from time to time.
And the guy couldn't believe that somebody was saying this to him, and held him up for 2 hours just because he made that comment. And then Tiger told me the story, and it was just Tiger Williams. That's what he would do. I can see it.
Well, I want to get back to your incredible career because it's so awesome. Okay, so you talked about your juniors. Okay, third year with Kingston, 58 goals, 77 assists for 135 points in 66 games. The following season, you had 92 points in 55 games. Played for Canada at the World Juniors with Gretzky and company, and you also got an opportunity to play for the Marlies. We have some vids that Paul Patsku sent to us, and I think it's you with the Marlies, if I'm not mistaken. Vic, can you find that video? It's about, I don't know, 12 seconds or something like that.
It was a great memory of playing in Maple Leaf Gardens with the Marlies. And as a kid, when you're growing up in Ontario, your goal was to play for the Toronto Marlboros. Of any, that's where you wanted to play because they played at Maple Leaf Gardens. And you think about the Mark Napiers, the John Andersons, Trevor Johansson, all those guys, John Smirk, that played there, that I played against in Bantam and Pee Wee and stuff, and coming to Toronto for the Ontario Championships. But I mean, to play for George Armstrong as our coach, who coached the Marlies. The Marlies had won the Memorial Cup, and our line got to go and play in Toronto. It was awesome. And the fact that Paul has this video is incredible.
Yeah, Paul's got incredible video. Let's run it again. You're number 11, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And
sure, you got a clip of you throwing a real good check there and skating down the ice. So tell me about this opportunity, how this came about, and what was the story on you team the Marlies?
Yeah, our coach was Jim Morrison, who was a former Toronto Maple Leaf, obviously. Mm-hmm. And George Armstrong. So our line was the number one scoring line in the league at the time. And they actually brought our line in to play against, I believe, maybe it was the Czechs or somebody from Europe. Okay. So my parents came to the game. I got a goal and I think 1 or 2 assists. We won the game. Wow. And George Armstrong said one of the most interesting things before the game. And again, our line supplanted 3 regular players for the Marlies. And I can't remember who they were, but they had to sit down for the game. We came in and played in their place. So before the game, George Armstrong said one of the most interesting things as a coach I ever heard in my career. He said, just win your shift. And he just simplified. That's all he said. And he simplified everything. He said, look, every time you go out there, just try to win your shift and we'll win the game. And so sure enough, that was his speech before the game. And all I thought about was every time I went out there was winning my shift. And it was brilliant. And it was George Armstrong, great guy. And obviously, it was just great to be in Maple Leaf Gardens playing with that blue and white sweater on because, we all dreamt about playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs growing up in Ontario. That was something. When they're 16 league, Montreal, not so much. Toronto was what you wanted to do. And my dad was head of Imperial Oil in Sarnia Ontario, lead chemical engineer. And every summer at our picnic, Imperial Oil picnic, for all the people that work there, employees, he would bring in one Toronto Maple Leaf. So I got to go and I met Ron Ellis. I met, oh my God, all the guys that were George Armstrong. Yeah. My dad would bring in one Toronto Maple Leaf.
Johnny Bauer, I'm sure, came in.
Johnny Bauer, and those guys would come in for one day in the summer.
Yeah. Red Kelly.
I got to meet these guys in the 60s. And again, in the first 10 years of my life, the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup 5 times. And all I remember doing is sitting on the couch, watching them hoist the cup, and then watching the parades. That's all I remember is the Toronto Maple Leafs every second year won the Stanley Cup. And what a way to grow up doing that.
Yeah.
We watched Detroit as well at the same time. My dad bought an aerial to get Detroit station.
Close,
so we watched the Wings from our hometown, the first satellite aerial that came out. So you watch that, and then we got the French channel, so we watched the Canadians. And then when I went to Kingston, Ontario, my first year in Kingston, the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup 4 years in a row. In the time I was in Kingston, they won every year during that time in the 70s. And that was incredible. Yep. Then I got to play with Guy Lafleur, and I got to meet those guys.
Wow.
I got to meet all of them. And I'll tell you an interesting story. When I was at the World Juniors, we took over the Montreal Canadiens locker room. They went on a road trip. And so we're in the locker room. So they came back to town, and we moved to the other locker room, visitors' locker room. And Yvon Lambert gave me a dozen hockey sticks of his sticks when I was there. And that lasted me the rest of the year of my final junior year, the dozen sticks he gave me. And I wish I would have saved one of those, but he gave me 1 dozen sticks that he had. They were Kohos. And I used them the rest of the year, but he gave them to me. And then we became teammates in Buffalo years later. And he remembered giving me those sticks in 1978. And it was Christmas.
And they were obviously pretty good sticks because you notched a lot of goals there.
Yeah, it was. It was nice. It was the same year Pierre LaRouche was traded to Montreal. He had just gotten there. And I started going to, we went out at night to, I think Jacques Lemaire had a restaurant bar in Montreal. And then trying to think of where else, maybe Henri Richard. So all those guys were sort of in the latter part of their careers. And that's when we were there. And they were winning Stanley Cups. And I got to sit in the locker room. I sat in Guy Lafleur's stall in the locker room.
Wow.
Which was, for me, it was awesome.
Did it smell a little smoky?
No, you know what? It's funny, kind of funny. People bring up the fact that he was a smoker. And when I played with him in Quebec, Nordiques, later, I don't remember him seeing him have a cigarette anywhere we were. And it was just interesting. I knew that some of the French guys were cigarette smokers, and most of them were. But I don't remember seeing him with a cigarette. It's I guess Mike Bossy did it. I guess Dennis Savard was a smoker. Most people from Quebec. The only guy I remember seeing was Bob Sauvé, was from Montreal, our goalie in Buffalo. And I remember him because I went to the rink with him. He was my neighbor. And I remember him smoking cigarettes. But I don't remember Guy having cigarettes. It's just weird. You know, when you grow up in Quebec, I guess that's part of the thing. You smoke cigarettes, apparently.
Right. Well, his stuff. I've had Jim McKegney on the show saying he used to share cigarettes in the walkway with Guy during games and such. But anyway, the fact that you got a chance to rub shoulders with those great Canadians at that particular time.
We first started going to Edmonton when they came in the league. We used to call it Deadmonton because it's really quiet there at the rink. It was just, there wasn't really an atmosphere. And then SCTV was being filmed there at the time. So John Candy and these guys would come to hockey games in Edmonton. And all of a sudden, Edmonton, and I'd been there in junior. I played in Edmonton in the area. And it was just funny about SCTV, and it sort of put Edmonton on the map, sort of. And then Gretzky comes there, and it kind of puts Edmonton on the map. But it was just one of those, when the Winnipeg and obviously Calgary shifts from Atlanta, and it was just a new territory back then, Edmonton, and then obviously Gretzky and everything else happened. But that city was just kind of a quiet place versus going to New York or some other place. It was just a big small town. But I remember there was one memory I had that Wayne Gretzky got a Ferrari, and I used to see him in the summertime in Brantford.
Okay.
And it was in Buffalo, so we used to go on fishing trips, and we used to do stuff together. So he had a Ferrari. So it's the middle of winter, and this Ferrari is parked outside of the hotel. It's across the street from the Coliseum, right? And the guy that passed away, Wayne had loaned him his car. And the guy that died in 9/11. The guy that was became a scout and so forth, and was Wayne's good friend. Remember his name?
Barry Fraser?
No. It was the guy that died in the 9/11, one of the planes, the first plane that went down 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go for LA. Former player.
Ace Bailey.
Yeah, Ace Bailey. So sure enough, there's a snowstorm. And we walked across the street to this forum, or whatever it is, the Forum Club or something. From the rink, right? And that's where the Oilers hung out and whatever. So anyway, this Ferrari's parked there in a snowstorm, and Ace Bailey's supposed to drive this thing, right? And Wayne loaned him the car. And I knew the car because I saw Wayne in the summertime, right? In Brantford, Ontario. So Ace Bailey is heading out, and we're getting in a taxi or something to go back to the hotel. And he's going to try to drive this Ferrari in a snowstorm at Edmonton. And that's what the Oilers are giving Wayne as a signing bonus or something. At the time.
A Ferrari's good for maybe 3 months a year in Edmonton. That's it.
No, but I mean, it's just funny. Ace Bailey. And unfortunately, and Wayne Gretzky was actually, he felt almost responsible because Ace Bailey was living in Boston, and he was a scout for the Los Angeles Kings. Wayne got him the job when he went to the Kings. And died in the first playing. And I heard the story. Yeah. I heard the story that somebody stood up and opposed these terrorists on the plane in first class, business class. Yeah, I heard the story. I had to think it would be Ace Bailey. It would have been the guy that would have stood up to these guys.
100%.
And I'm sure it had to be him. It had to be. So
no question. So, Tony, I love your stories. They're amazing. So you make you get signed by the Sabres. You drafted by the Sabres, and you made your presence felt in Hershey because in just 24 games, you had 21 goals and 18 assists, including a 19-game point streak. Obviously, that got the Sabres' attention.
Yeah, you know what, Joe? It's quite interesting that the coach of the team was Freddie Stanfield, who had just retired from playing. Obviously, won 2 Stanley Cups and coached in Niagara Falls for the Flyers. And he made a decision that he thought I'd be better as a center. And he was correct. I was better centerman than I was. And we had 5 tough guys on the team that were toughest guys in the league. And anytime I got on the ice, I had more room than I ever had in my life on the ice because we had 5 tough guys. And I'll tell you a crazy story. In the rink in Hershey, Pennsylvania, basically, you could hear from one locker room to the other was about 40 feet from between each other. And the rafters were such that you could hear anything on the roof. So our 5 tough guys, before warm-up, would start shouting out to people like Bruce Bruto and people, we're going to get you tonight before warm-up. So we'd go out and warm up. And they'd be yelling at them in the circle when you warmed up for the game, right? By the time the game started, every best player on the other team was scared shitless about what was going to happen. And I got to go anywhere I wanted to. It was crazy. Nobody would lay a finger on me because they knew these guys were coming. Guys like Archie Henderson, and I would go down the list, Gary Risling, right? And these guys are the toughest guys in the league on one team together. And we shared the team back then. Buffalo, it was half and half with Washington Capitals and the Buffalo Sabres. We shared a team back then, a minor league team. So it's just that's how I ended up, getting 2 points a game during that time. And I was getting in a fight one night in New Haven, Connecticut, and with somebody. I can't think of the guy's name. So sure enough, Gary Risley, after I got in a fight, he came over and says, "Look, that's my job. Your job is to score goals."
Yeah.
He said, "Stop doing."
That's 5 minutes that you're not on the ice. That's 5 minutes that you're not on the ice.
Stop doing my job is what he told me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, so you get called up by the Sabres, and what a wonderful time that was. In your how did you find out you made the big club? How did you get the word?
Yeah, you know what? Interesting, Joe. In training camp, we had a rookie camp, and I was working out probably July 1st. I started working out, and I worked out on weights with a guy that was a CFL football player, and he taught me how to weight train. And Nautilus had just come out at the same time, so I started. I went from 185 pounds to 200 pounds in the summer, and it was all muscle.
Wow!
And I learned how to train, so I was working out a lot, and 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid going to training camp. And it was a funny story is that most of the veterans, first day of camp, they would be handed their skates and they hadn't seen them for the whole summer. It was like because training camp was a month long, right?
Right.
So I played 10 exhibition games. I had 7 goals and 4 assists because I was in really good shape and nobody else really had worked out. It was a big benefit. Right. So that's I got off to that start, and I was in the hotel for 6 weeks with training camp, rookie camp, and then training camp, and then in Buffalo. And interesting, Jerry Korab, who was a veteran on the Buffalo Sabres, used to pick me up every morning and take me for breakfast, and then take me for lunch after the sessions. And so that made me feel like I belonged. And then they told me to get my own home. So that's when I knew I was in. And I lived with one other player, ended up rooming with, I guess, Lindy Ruff and some Larry Playfair, and some other people. At that age, you live together, sort of. But in saying that, it just, what a feeling when you first got the nod to say, get your own place. And that's when you knew you were kind of in. The rookies. Well, the guys trying out for the team were in one room at the Odd, and then when I got the word that I moved into the big locker room, the main locker room, and that's I knew at that point I was in, and what a great feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, was that when you called home and let them know? And
yeah, I was talking to my parents probably quite a bit. My dad came for a day of training camp, and he brought somebody that worked for him from the plant, and the other guy just stood back and says, "Look, your son's in the NHL now." And my dad sort of couldn't quite take it in, couldn't quite believe it, but I remember that conversation that day. And anyway, it was just when you think about making the NHL, and thank God I went to a good team because. The Sabres were an exciting team. Danny Gare took me in immediately, the captain, and Gilbert Perreault playing on line with him. It was just almost surreal in a way, but it was just something you strive for and you wanted to do. And the fact that I was a black hockey player didn't really come into mind to me because I'd sort of gone through all these different levels of playing hockey in all-star teams and obviously junior B and junior A, top level. It just became natural. It was just a progression. It's just a natural progression of, okay, here's the ladders you climb to get to the National Hockey League. And everybody sort of knew who I was before I got there. Even when I got to the NHL, the guys I was playing against, they knew about me from the Hockey News, which we used to, Junior A, there would be
the Bible of hockey.
No, there were 5 copies of Hockey News on the bus when you're driving from, say, Kingston to Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury, and everybody got to read the Hockey News, and that's how I found out about Willie O'Ree, because he had a great career in Western Hockey League, and I had no idea there was no other black hockey player out there. And I read about Willie O'Ree. I didn't know. He was born I was born the same month that he played his first game in the NHL. So I didn't really know much about him.
Oh, wow. 58.
At all. It was 58. It was the same month I was born in Montreal that he played his first game in the National Hockey League against
Boston.
Montreal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk about so you take the ice as a Sabre for the first time. You're looking around the building and what's going on. Here you are in an NHL rink. What is that feeling like for you?
Well, you know what? I scored a goal in my first game, and it was first goal. Yeah, it was against the Islanders, and Billy Smith assisted. My goal was assisted by Danny Gare. It was a rebound off a shot, which with Danny Gare usually it was a rebound when he got an assist because he would shoot the puck.
Right. He was a good shooter. Yeah.
No, but he just it was smart. He shot the puck. We used to say to each other, shoot first and ask questions later. That was our motto. Just don't miss the net.
Shoot.
And that was the deal.
Yeah.
Like this, don't miss the net because there might be a rebound there, right? So Jarome Iginla and Danny Gare in my first game in the league, I got a goal, and I scored 2 in 4 games. I went into a slump after that. Started thinking too much, but in saying that, the coach of the team was Marcel Pronovo, and he came in. And I scored 2 goals in 4 games, and I wasn't on the same streak at training camp. I scored almost a goal a game, and so I got 2 and 4. And he came in to give me a pep talk. He said, "Look, Guy Lafleur right now has 2 goals in 4 games. You have 2 goals in 4 games," and that was his speech to me. I said, "Well, look, you got the same amount of goals as Guy Lafleur right now."
Yeah,
and it made me feel good. That speech made me feel good. So anyway, it was just. It was just great group of guys that I played with. Everybody was very supportive, and it was almost in a way, when you got the NHL, everybody knew how to pass, everybody knew how to shoot, everybody knew where they needed to be, and the game was almost easier because in junior, you had 5 guys that were so much better than the other 15 guys. So you had to make it there. And that's how somebody like Wayne Gretzky scored all those points, because there were so many guys that were just filling in the blanks on a team. And he'd take apart these other teams that were average and maybe had 5 good players. And then the other 15 guys were just filling in a jersey, filling in a spot.
Right.
And that's how, for him to get 200 points, because there were people out there that didn't even belong in the league, but they were just filling in a hole. And that's exactly how the best players were able to get that many points and score 50 goals and all these things, because there were a bunch of guys that shouldn't even really been there in the league.
Right. You still had to have that ability to take care. But you talked about scoring your first goal against the Islanders and Billy Smith, one of those great Islanders teams, and you talk about playing against Gretzky. And we actually have a goal that you scored against the Oilers. Obviously, not intimidated by playing against them, but off the faceoff right here. And you moved to the net and sniped it. Yeah, I think it's probably Andy Moog at that time before Fuhr was there, but. What a great goal that was, and it showed your ability to, score in different ways, right? Fighting off the check and scoring, like a real pure power forward, right? Yeah.
It was funny about playing the Oilers. I always look forward to it because you knew guaranteed you were going to get 5 or 6 2-on-1s during the game, and the reason being that Paul Coffey was up ice all the time. Charlie Hunt was up ice all the time, joining the rush. So if the puck turned over, you're going the other way, and you got a 2-on-1. And Grant Fuhr, and I'll mention Andy Moog as well, but Grant Fuhr would make 5 or 6 of these spectacular saves in a game, and we'd lose 7-4. The Oilers would score 7. We'd still get 4 goals, but you were losing 7-4. Right. And Grant Fuhr, during the course of the game, he would make 5 of these fantastic acrobatic saves that were unbelievable, but you still lose 7-4. Thinking that you make
nobody ever faced more breakaway goals than Andy Moog. Nobody, not even close.
And Andy was great too.
So, Andy was hell of a goaltender. They had a nice goaltending talent back then. And
Right.
23 goals in your first season in Buffalo, which is pretty good. Then in 80-81, you're on your way to 37 goals in the season when you sat down with Dave Hodge between periods on Hockey Night in Canada. Let's roll
I
that.
don't know. I think like we definitely have a lot more goals scored against us this year, and I don't know what the statistics are on the amount of goals we've scored, but that's definitely one area that Roger's kind of mad about, because we did win the Vezina, and Scotty feels that the team that wins the Vezina Trophy is going to be in there right at the end, and we won it last year, and we went to the semifinals, and I think we do have to tighten up. We had 8 scored against us in Calgary the other night. We came in here tonight and wanted to tighten up, and we've held the Leafs to 3, and they've been playing in some high-scoring games. But when we get in a freewheeling game, we play pretty well, and we're getting now, we just want to win games. And if we get 3, 4, 5 scored against, as long as we get 6, I think we're going to be happy. Just get a win.
A lot of people watching you in Sarnia, and I know you're aware of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello to my family and friends in Sarnia and be home for Christmas.
Thank you, and congratulations on goal number 16. And
16 and on the way to 37. You have very astute analysis, by the way. What do you think when you see that young Tony?
It's really nice, the fact that before satellites came to be, where one of the only times your family and friends in Ontario, Canada, could see you play was on Hockey Night in Canada. So I think that for the Leafs back in the day, for everybody like us, Buffalo, New York, any team that now you're on Hockey Night in Canada and all your friends can see you before satellites came into vogue. And it came into vogue just after that, in the mid-'80s. Mm-hmm. So when you're playing against Toronto, and Toronto wasn't that great back then, you're at the best because you know that everybody's watching on a Saturday night. And that's exactly what I think Toronto, for them, it was hard for them because, that's like a Stanley Cup final game playing in Toronto against the Toronto Maple Leafs on a Saturday night. And so you raise the level of your game. Everybody, this is showtime for you as a hockey player. And so that was, I think, part of the problem for Toronto then, because everybody got up like we did for that game, even though we're in Buffalo, New York, and our games are on TV in Buffalo. But I mean, for Canada to be on that stage against the Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal as well, but more so the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were in their division. We played them 8 times a year. I remember there was a game that I remember Dick Beddoes, out of CHCH Hamilton. Uh-huh. So they were doing a Leafs game in Buffalo, and we beat the Sabres 14-4 in a game. And to this day, it's still a record. There were 10 goals scored in the second period with two teams combined. 10 goals were scored in the second period in Buffalo, 14-4. And my friend Terry Martin, who played for the Leafs from Buffalo, scored 3 goals in that game. And that was part of that period. I my first 4-point game I had in my NHL career was that game, 14-4. And it was kind of funny. Carl Brewer, it was his first game back after he came out of retirement, 44 years old, right? Yeah. Shaved head. So sure enough, Dave Sham was a friend of mine from junior, played in Peterborough. So sure enough, their defense partners, they were -8 in the game. So I saw him after the game, walking out of the locker room. And he said, "Hey, Shandy, how you doing?" And he looked at me and said, I'm fucking -8 tonight. Like, what do you think?
Thanks a lot, Tony.
No, how you doing? Right. So he had to pay with Carl, first game back. And Punch Imlach brought Carl back because he wanted somebody in the locker room to get back to him with what was going on in the locker room. Oh. And that's how he came back. And I think it might have been the same year that with Roger, where Roger put the bag.
Over his head. Yeah.
See, with the owner
paper
team.
bag.
Well, it might have been that same year. It might have been the same year. Possible. Maybe.
Well, when you're losing 14-4, it can't be fun. Yeah. So you talk about this. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things about Maple Leaf Gardens is that when George, the owner of the team, and King Clancy used to sit in that area down at the end where it was a mirrored glass thing, and then they pull up the thing and they'd watch the game right behind where the Zamboni came up. That's exactly right. So that was just interesting about Maple Leaf Gardens, that those guys were there as a constant. and you could see them during the game. The thing would go up, or the mirror or whatever, and then you're going off the Zamboni, it comes out, you're walking down there to the locker room, and Harold and King Clancy were there, right? And I heard a great story that I heard about the Leafs was from Jim Dory, and he talked about the night where Bobby Orr got hit by Pat Quinn in Boston, right? So he knocks Bobby Orr out. Bobby Orr is getting carried off in a stretcher, right? So they knew there was going to be some fights happening in the third period or wherever it was in the game. Went in the locker room. So King Clancy comes down and he wants Brad Selwood to take his equipment off because he was going to go out there and beat the shit out of anybody he could find between periods. And he's like 65, 70 years old. So King Clancy went down, kicked the door open, and said to Selwood, "Take your equipment off. I'm going out there." During that game. Yeah. And
That's hilarious.
So Jim Dory tells me the story. And it's like, you could almost envision.
King was a character. Character. Yeah.
They knew it was coming. And Jim Dory fought 4 guys. Apparently, he fought 4 guys for the Bruins after that happened. Right. And they had a police.
They all came after him for sure. They came after.
No, but
they came after Quinn.
He was a scrapper. So anyway, they had a police escort to the bus after the game in Boston.
Wow.
Apparently. Wow. This is Jim Dory telling us, and I'm going, really?
Well, I believe it for sure. Orr was the hero there. So the Sabre teams were. You got a chance on those Sabre teams to play for guys. I mentioned earlier, Gilbert Perreault. Your first full season as a Sabre, you got 37 goals, 36 assists. You had 37 goals, 36 goals. You had 23 goals twice. Some nice playoff runs with the Sabres. What was it like to play with those stars like Perreault?
Yeah, it was great because he was such a great skater, and just so many memories. When I first came in, I actually took his pattern of his stick, and I said to the guys at Sherwood, I said, look, just give me the same thing as Gilbert Perreault. So I used that stick for a number of years, which is his pattern. And then we used to stay out for practice. And myself and Richard Martin and Danny Gare and Gilbert would shoot 100 pucks after practice with no goalie in the net. But our biggest thing was to not miss the net. That was the biggest thing focused on, was not missing the net, just hitting the net all the time. And that's what I sort of, I branded myself with just staying out after practice, shooting 100 pucks. Somebody would shoot 30, and then somebody go retrieve the pucks, bring them back, and then somebody else shoots 30, and then back and forth. And that was the best training lesson I learned. And I'm out there with a 50-goal scorer, Richard Martin, Danny Gare, 50-goal scorer, Gilbert Perreault, 40-goal scorer. And that was the time. And after practice, we put that time in to just shoot pucks with no goalie in the net, nobody else out there, just us shooting pucks. And because our job was to score goals. So that dedication, I did that for the rest of my career. It just became a normal place to stay after practice and shoot 100 pucks into an empty net. And not
well, it certainly paid off for you. You knew Alex McGillney well during your time in Buffalo, and tell us about you tell us about Alex.
Yeah, just our connection was I built an indoor golf facility, driving range in Buffalo, which also did multi-sports. And he just had never golfed before. And he started golfing, and then we both were collectors of exotic cars, like Porsches and Maserati, and just cars like that. I was into cars, muscle cars as well, me. So we just were into cars, and I had a swimming pool in my house. My kids were pretty young, and he would come to the house. And when he first came over, interesting, when he came from Russia back then, you're defecting, obviously. And any letter he wrote to his parents in Russia was read by the military there.
KGB.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one thing. And then when they finally allowed his parents to come to America to visit him, which was a number of years after he came to Buffalo. So he's on his own, right? So if parents were finally allowed to come, they could only come one at a time, because if they came together, they would stay in America. And so the one could come in time, right? So that was the rule. So he'd come to our house, I had a swimming pool, and and then I belonged at a country club. And he just came to my house all the time, played with my kids, went to the swimming pool. And then we went golfing together all the time. He actually became a scratch golfer, which was within a year. Within a year of picking up the game, he became a scratch golfer. And then the year he scored 76 goals. He and LaFontaine, that was the first year I retired from hockey. And I took my kids to almost every game. And it was incredible. Those two guys together, it was like a show every night.
What a show.
The thing is, that year, Mario Lemieux had Hodgkin's that year, disease. Got treated for chemotherapy and so forth. And Pat LaFontaine was leading him by 40 points. And Mario came back and had 2 to 3 points a game and won the scoring championship that year, which was 92-93. And what an incredible thing that Mario did, coming back off of having Hodgkin's disease and winning the scoring race. He was on a mission.
Wow.
LaFontaine was ahead of him by X number of points, and Mario ends up surpassing and winning the scoring championship that year, which, it's one of the most incredible things in the history of the game, that Mario did that. He just wanted to win the scoring race, and he was on a mission.
That's what a feat.
And he did it.
That's incredible.
He did it. I remember watching. It was my first year retired, so I was watching hockey for the first time.
As a spectator.
Yeah. Well, that was the difference. The first time that I was just watching hockey. I was sort of retired and stuff, and what a performance! Incredible.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so you get traded to Quebec. You actually had 2 stints with the Nordiques. What was it like to play for that storied franchise?
Well, it was nice because it was the only game in town, and you sort of knew why you were in town, to do one thing, which was to play hockey. That's why you were there. And the foods were great. The people were very nice, and with a French person sort of was somewhat of a minority at the time. I know when I was growing up, a lot of people that I knew put down French people. I could tell you a couple jokes. But I mean, the French were treated as kind of second-class citizens in a way. I went there, they sort of liked me because I was somewhat of a minority. And I liked the people, great teammates. Really close. We were all there from the Stasnies were there from, Czechoslovakia. We had some French players. We had a couple American guys. So it was just a mix of people that came from different backgrounds. And I was born in Montreal, even though I grew up in Ontario. And somebody gave me the nickname Bro Frog, which basically bro, like you're my brother. And then Frog is, a French person. And I was
like a friend of a French person, basically.
I was born in Montreal. So somebody nicknamed me Bro Frog. And it was just something that stuck. It was just funny. And it was just one of those things that just stuck. Bro Frog, which means, you're my brother and you're a French Canadian. So just something. Yeah.
You mentioned, being born in Montreal. Tell us a little bit about your biological parents.
Yeah, my parents both went to the university in Montreal and met. My father was from Nigeria. And ironically, apparently, Jarome Iginla has some Nigerian background. And then second to that, I think Grant Fuhr's grandfather. There's something about Nigeria, and then a few other people.
Right.
Hockey players, and a lot of the guys, their parents came from the Caribbean, and like Barbados and Jamaica and
Anthony Stewart. Yeah, some of the guys. Yeah.
That was the background they had. So my father was from Nigeria and came over for 1 year to school in Montreal at the university there, and my mother was from England. So they met. And I got to meet my mother, and I got to meet my father biologically, and apparently they were together one night on a Friday night. school. And then my mother ended up having me, and tried to keep me for a while. But it was a Friday night, and I told her, I said, well, thank God for beer. So they got together one night, and there I am.
Okay, because you wouldn't be here, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, but I mean, at the same time, there were 5 different families that were trying to adopt me. And the one family that adopted me, they were of the same religious feelings as my mother was.
Right.
Single parent.
Okay.
So that's how it happened. That's how I got to go there. But in saying that, basically, if I wouldn't have gone to that family with a hockey rink in my backyard, and my parents were quite well-to-do, money-wise. So I had the best equipment. I had the best of everything. My older brothers played hockey. And I got lucky going to that home in that place. And that's where it started. I remember looking out at the hockey rink from my bedroom window and thinking, what is that out there? When I was like, a year and a half, 2 years old. Everybody else is out there. My older brothers were 10 years my senior. And I just looked out at the rink, and all the neighbors would that was the place everybody congregated to. And I said, geez, well, I got to be 3 years old, and I got my first pair of skates at 3, and I started skating every day at 3 years old. So just an advantage. And I think the same thing when Wayne Gretzky was growing up. He went to the rink at his grandparents' place. And outdoor rinks, like how many guys back then just went to an outdoor rink to learn how to play hockey, skate. And I just remember going to public skating twice a week. They had it at the local arena. And I just remember going to watch my brother play for the junior B team, which was the Legionnaires. And I remember seeing Pat Stapleton. I remember seeing guys that went to the NHL. And with my dad going to watch hockey games at the local arena where the local junior B team. So it's just hockey was, I liked other sports, but I mean, hockey was it for everything. Your life revolved around hockey.
Yeah, hockey is life, man, and it's funny. It's amazing how things have a way of working out, right? The dominoes fell the way they fell, and here you are, and you got the opportunity. Your story is very similar to Grant Fuhr's, right? And he was fortunate to be growing up in a home with some financial means and ability to follow his passion and his dream. Did you know right away, like as far back as you can remember, that you were going to be a hockey player?
Yeah, that was the one sport that stuck out. I love basketball. I love football. And I love watching sports on TV. I had a membership at a private country club when I was 10 years old. And in the summertime, basically, we'd go, with my buddies, and like Monday through Friday. I don't think we played on weekends because that was when the adults went there. So we're at the country club. And so every day we would have lunch at the club, and we would take turns sign the bill for our lunch. So burgers, fries, milkshake. So after the first month, my dad got the bill, and he said, "How many fucking cheeseburgers can you eat?" No, he said, "How many cheeseburgers can you have in a month?" Yeah. Right, he got the bill. It's probably $1 a piece or something, right? Yeah. We signed for everything. And up, playing 100 rounds of golf in a summer at 10 years old, going to the club. And then I asked my dad about getting air conditioning, and we lived on the lake and the river. Yeah. He said, if you think you're hot, just go. He pointed to the lake and said, "In the water. Go jump in there. Go jump in there when everybody's." Well, he air conditioning, right? Had a breeze and stuff. He said, "Look, just go jump in there. If you think you're hot," he said, "How did I survive without air conditioning?" Right? And he refused to get it. And then when I got my first couple cars, I had a Corvette and then summertime, right? And then I bought the Buick Electra something. Sure. Nice car. So anyway, I gave him the car for the summer to drive, and it had air conditioning. And he at the end of the summer, he couldn't believe this air conditioning, how good it was. And so he gave me. I got that car back, and I parked the Corvette in the garage. So anyway, he then never had a car without air conditioning again.
Gets fun.
He had that summer with this Buick Park Avenue with air conditioning. Right. I just refused to get it before then.
Well, growing up in Edmonton, we didn't really miss it, but when I moved to Southern Ontario, man, we had to have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spent a couple. You had two stints with already. I mean, we showed you beating Kenny Rigg at 5-hole. You had a chance to play with Matt Sundin and Joe Sakic. What do you remember about those guys?
You know what? The thing I remember about Joe Sakic was that his backhand was as hard as his wrist shot. I'd never seen anybody that had a backhand shot that was like that. It was incredible. And his skating was incredible. And Matt's came in and just big in size and what a talent and what a nice person. So the fact that I got the chance to play with those guys, it was a pretty easy game to play. And saying that, Joe taught me on a 2-on-1. He said, just make the goalie think you're going to pass. And then just wait for him just to lean slightly and then shoot it to the short side because he's already leaning to his left side. And I scored so many goals after he taught me what to do on a 2-on-1.
Right.
But he said, take the shot, don't miss the net. If I don't score, there's a rebound there for you. And he taught me how to do that. The other thing he taught me how to do, he said, if you're on a breakaway, and this is before they had shootouts, it was just a breakaway, which we used to get a lot. So he said, go in really fast and then get the goalie with your speed to back up and then slow down. And he's already backed up in a position, and now you're slowing down, and you've got that much more room. So that was his idea, and it worked.
Right.
It worked. He was brilliant at figuring out the game. And I think the guys I played with in my career, and I played with a lot of great hockey players, I would have to rate him of one of the best players I ever played with was Joe Sakic. I don't think a lot of people say that, but he was, along with a guy like Peter Stastny, was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
As a teammate, Gilbert Perreault, obviously, we talked about other people that I played with. But, I mean, Doug Gilmour, absolutely incredible. When I was in St. Louis, when I scored 40 goals, he was unbelievable. As a player, competitor, gritty, just everything you'd want in a teammate centerman. And there he is there. But, I mean, what
Heading you up right there.
Yeah, what a treat to play with Doug Gilmour. What a treat to play with him. Wow.
Yeah.
And a nice person.
You had you're still with the Rangers, still with Minnesota, including a real nice playoff run with the North Stars, 1984-85. You had 8 goals and 6 assists in 9 games in the playoffs with the North Stars. What was clicking for you at that particular time, other than that blazing shot right there?
Yeah, everything just came together quite nicely. Dennis Marouk was a great centerman. And then Willie Plett was a guy that was just tough, up and down the wing. And it was at the point where somebody used to shadow me during the game. And Willie recognized the fact that somebody was just out there to watch me, right? Which hadn't really happened before during that time. So sure enough, Willie's on the right side, I'm on the left side. And he says to me, he says, look, that guy that's shadowing you, this is between periods, right? I said, yeah, he's all over me. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So he says, look, just come over to my side of the ice. So sure enough, this guy's just following me, right? So I bring him over to the right wing, which then I start following Willie. And he two-hands this guy right across the face. And I never saw him again. That was it. It was done. He said, just bring him over here. Bring him over here. Bring him over to my side. Yeah. I brought him over to his side, and first thing, boom.
And Willie Cowboy Willie Plett took care of business.
No, but right between he cross-checks this guy. It takes 2 minutes. Okay, great. Never saw the guy again for the rest of the series. Scored 8 goals and probably a goal a game or something.
6 assists in 9 games. Yeah, 8 goals in 9 games. Unbelievable. So you had a short stint with the Rangers before Phil Esposito dealt to the Blues. I'm sure that was a trade that he regretted. We saw a glimpse of your speed there with the North Stars, and here you're going to take a great feed from Brian Benning, and you beat your here's Kenny Regan again. This time you beat him high glove side. A great shot. Well, do you have any specific goalies that you preferred to face?
No, I just it was kind of funny. I used to go for the pregame skate, particularly when we're on the road. I would get up quite early in the morning. And I remember Dominic Hasek was my roommate, and I'm watching CNN Financial at 7 a.m. and he's new to the league in Chicago, right? So he'd wake up, and then he'd be pissed off because I was watching like the news at 7:30.
Financial news, yeah.
So anyway, I got to the point where I'd get up, I go for breakfast early, and then I'd go to the rink for the other team's morning skate, which is always before our morning skate, right? And I just made a point of watching the other team's goalies. And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm watching these goalies, these guys see these guys every day, the shooters. So they know the weakness of the goalie. So I would watch the goalies every morning skate when we're on the road, right? So I learned a lot doing that. And I would be the only person there, maybe our coach or maybe somebody was watching the other team's morning skate, but I was there to watch the goalies to see what they were doing, right? And that's what I did. And ironically, I had pretty good success against Grant Fuhr and some of the better goalies in the league at the time. Pete Peters was a guy that was a great goalie. And some other guys. Billy Smith beat us in the playoffs one year with Buffalo when they first won the Stanley Cup in 1980. We had 45 shots a game, and Billy Smith absolutely destroyed us. And I talked to Gillies about this. I talked to Bobby Nystrom about this. And some other guys on the Islanders, Mike Mossy, I told him when he was around. And I said, look, Billy Smith killed us. And they all looked at each other and said, yeah, you're right. And he did. We had 45 shots a game. We lost 2-1, 3-2 in the first 2 games of the series in 1980. After having 10 days off after beating Chicago 4 straight and Vancouver 3 straight. Yeah. We waited 10 days, practice every day for 10 days. And they played 7 games against Boston and 7 games against somebody. So they rolled into the playoffs, and we had sat there for 10
beat up.
10 days, and we're just practicing every day. What do you do? One practice, Roger Nielsen actually had us change hands, and anybody who's left shot was got a man, and then vice versa. The funniest thing, some of the guys that couldn't shoot right, couldn't handle the puck, do anything as you change hands, and some of the guys are really good at it. Some of the guys were. Was one of them to right, and I knew how to do it. Some guys didn't. It was just, it was a laugh, but Nielsen invented that just to break up the monotony of a practice during that 10-day time frame.
Right, that's a lot of time off between games, man.
Well, it took us 2 games to get back into a playoff game mode after having 10 days, and the weather got really nice. It was May the 10th. All of a sudden, it's 70 degrees. People are golfing. We weren't allowed to golf, but we had to drive by the golf course to get to the practice rink every day. So you had to go. Everybody else was golfing, and you had to drive by, and you couldn't golf for 10 days when the weather was getting nice. So it's another part of that memory. I told Scotty Bowman that.
Well, Roger should have let you get out golfing a couple of times.
No, we're laughing about it. No, it was unheard of to do that. Yeah. And that's the way.
Probably get away with it today.
Well, I don't know.
I was just going to say, you racked up goals in a variety of different ways with the Blues. I mean, obviously, we got a nice shorthanded rusher against Chicago, where you're going to beat Darren Pang 5-hole, and it's just a lot of things are obviously going right for you. And then you also played on the power play. You played a power game. You're going to charge the net. Tony Herkus, the rebound. You're going to reach the 40 goal mark for the first time in your career. And what did that signify you personally, reaching that 40 goal mark?
It was interesting because I scored 50 goals on a few occasions before I got to the NHL. And ironically, when I went to Europe after my career, I scored 50 goals in 40 games. So I was used to scoring a lot of goals. That was what I did. And when I went to the NHL, my goal was to score 50 goals in a season. That's what I wanted to do. And to do that, a lot of things had to go right. And obviously, for me, I needed to have a great centerman to set me up. I wasn't going to take the puck from end to end like some people could and score a goal. Needed to be set up. And I just learned how to get in the right position to receive. And the other thing, too, is and I learned something from Brett Hull about the release, about the quick release. And I learned how to do that through him, and then also Stevie Yzerman, that had these one-timers that they were able to perfect and do. And that's what I learned to do, to get the shot off. And obviously the skating ability is very important. The fact that I could skate really good, which, I blew by some people, create space for yourself by doing that.
Right.
And the goalies back then, for me, the equipment was so small compared to what it is today. And the goalies were like 5'6", 5'7". Darren Pang, who you just saw.
Sure.
5'6", 5'7", 5'8" in height, and the pads were smaller. The equipment was smaller. Today, when I look at the game, sometimes I look at the goalies, and I don't like the fact that goalies go down a lot, although I would have found a way to score, I think, if they were going down like they do now. And in the old days, the goalies used to hug the post. They hugged the post, and there wasn't a lot of room as there are like today. The goalies go down, and I would just learn. I scored a lot of goals on the ice and down low because of that. Yeah. The goalies play the angle, so you just figure out where to go. But I mean, today, they don't hug the post, so I would just learn how to shoot high all the time. Probably 80% of my goals were on the ice or not very high off the ice. I didn't score a lot of chopped shelf goals. That one goal against Reagan was sort of a rarity. It was just what I had to shoot at, was top shelf. But normally, I go low.
You take what they give you, right?
Yeah, on that case, and Kenny Rager was a good guy, just a good guy. But I played with some great centermen, and certainly that year with Bernard Panuco, Tony Herkus, Cliff Ronning, and Doug Gilmore in St. Louis. I just had some. Every centerman was a good passer of the puck, and they all were.
You mentioned the Blues and 40 goals, and we talk about a great playoff run you had with the Blues as well. You're facing the Red Wings in round one of this playoff run, and you got a 2-on-1 with Gilmore and another lovely setup. And you finished it off. You had 9 points in 9 postseason games in this particular playoff run. And, you talked about that earlier. Like Gilmore is just, phenomenal center. And you gave a lot of credit to your centermen and your line mates. And, and that's, I guess, part of who you are, right?
Yeah. And with Dougie, he played a good defensive game. He just played tough. As a smaller guy, I think he might have been 165, 170 pounds at most. And he just played bigger than he was. And as he said, he was good on faceoffs. He was just good at all. And then Bernie Panuco, great career, obviously. I got the pleasure of playing against the likes of those guys. Cliff Ronning, great player, had a great career in Vancouver when he left St. Louis. Great player. And then Tony Herkus, Hobie Baker winner. Centerman, again, just great passers on the puck, and that's what I needed. Even the year I scored 37 goals in Buffalo, it was I had some good centermen to play with, which was Gilbert Perreault, obviously, and a guy named Derek. I needed to have a good centerman to do what I did, which was get open and find a way to finish off plays. And back in the day, with the power plays back then, I just hung around the front of the net a lot because I figured if the puck was coming through from the point, there might be a rebound there or a deflection or something. So you went to the net because eventually you figured the puck was going to eventually end up there. So if you go that place, that's where the puck is going to end up going to. And so that's how you got a lot of goals, by going to the place where the puck was going to be going to.
And you're a big body, a tough guy to move, a big body, tough guy to move. And
I was 200 pounds when I came in the league, and people at 180 were considered big. And I was 20 pounds bigger than a guy that's $180. And a lot of guys back then, wingers particularly, were 170 pounds and would play aggressively. But I was 200 pounds when I was 19 years old. Just working out, worked out.
Yeah, right.
It was all muscle.
Yeah. Hey, our producer Vic has a question for you, Vic. Come on in.
Yeah, Vic. Yes, Vic.
Oh, can't hear you, Vic. We can't hear you. There you go.
There you go. Here's better. You watched this highlight. You just scored the goal. I'm curious. I know it's a long time ago. But what are you saying to the Blackhawk player?
Well,
did you like my goal? How was the goal? Like, are you jealous of me? Like, what did you say?
No, he took a run at me after the goal. You know who the guy was? It was Dave Manson.
Oh, Charlie.
Chicago. Yeah, Charlie. Exactly. So anyway, I basically said, "Fuck you."
Oh, okay.
And then I'm the guys are coming to congratulate me, and then Rob Ramage almost got in a fight with him after that. If you see, somebody comes in after I'm basically saying "fuck you," which that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Back then.
Well, he didn't like the fact you beat him. That's one thing, right?
Well, that was partly it. But then Rob Ramage comes in and he gets into it with him after I was just the guys are congratulating me, right? Right. And then I went back again and made sure I put an exclamation point on it. Well, that was, I was typically when I was playing not in a good mood. So something like that was set off. I'm not sure what he said to me. I can't remember. I didn't want it to end there. But I saw that clip for the first time in a while. Was Paul gratefully sent it to me, and I remember the incident going back there, and it was a heated rivalry back then between Chicago and so that was a big game in Chicago Stadium. That was a place you wanted to win, when you're on road. So I'm sure I just went back and it was F you. I'm sure it had to be.
Yeah. It wasn't. How's your mother?
Yeah. So have a great day. Have a great day.
Have a nice day. So what led to your retirement? When did you decide to pack?
Yeah, just my kids were entering school. They were both 5 and entering kindergarten, and I'd been away a lot in my career, and I just I had a lot of money. And I just wanted to put them on the school bus in the morning. And I wanted to see them get off the school bus at the end of the day. And I wanted to be part of that. And, I played a lot and a lot of practices and a lot of travel and so forth. And I just wanted to be in one house. And I moved several times, obviously, playing in different cities. And I just wanted to get a point in my life, one house, one this, one that, and simplify. And just be around for my kids. I ended up coaching them in hockey. And in fact, one year, my kids played on the same team as Gronkowski, the football player. And I coached a team with his father. He had 3 brothers, and we all lived in the same neighborhood. So it's kind of funny. We'd go out on a Friday night to the local restaurant near our houses. And so that would be midnight on a Friday night, and then we're on the ice at 5:30 in the morning. And hey, I'll see you in 5 hours, right at the rink, right with the kid.
I'm in sleep.
Going out for dinner for 4 hours, and then Gronkowski, becomes what he is in the NFL. My son still knows him from back when they were 8 years old playing All-Star hockey. And Harry Neal's son actually played on the team as well.
Oh, wow.
At the same time. So the 3 of us would be out on a Friday night with our wives. And, hey, I'll see you at 5:30 in the morning. First ice. So I just came back. And, my older son actually might have been good enough to play, but my wife didn't want to move to Canada, where he would have played. I should have hooked him up. I could have sent him to play for a lot of nights, and he would have made the team.
Right. With the Hunters, yeah.
Yeah, but I knew those guys. I know those guys. And my wife didn't want to move to Canada. She didn't want to go to Canada, and that would have been the move for him hockey wise. And he went to private school, played private school hockey here, and he, it's just something that I wish I would have pushed. He would have got a chance to play, and I didn't push it, and I that's my one regret. I should have pushed, because he was that big, he was that good, and he would have maybe made it in the NHL.
Is he doing good now?
Yeah, he's doing very well. He married very well.
Okay,
living in a $2.8 million house on the ocean in Santa Monica, California. Yeah, he's doing really well.
All right. he could do without the hockey career then. Okay, that's right.
He married well.
You mentioned that you'd be up at 7:00 in the morning, and Dominic Hasek is just out because you're watching the stock report. Did that come in handy for you in your life?
No, it was just funny because I had the remote, and I had the remote, and I had the control of the remote. It was first year. Eddie Belfour that year played 73 games, and Dominic played maybe 3, and it was up and down. Indianapolis was our farm team, right? So we only saw him in practice, right? We didn't really know how good he was. It was just unorthodox. It was kind of weird.
Wow.
Belfour wanted to play. He wanted to play every game. Like he wanted to be like a defenseman. I'm playing every game.
Yeah.
So he wins the Vezina that year. Eddie does, right? We win the President's Trophy in Chicago when I was there, and then Dominic goes to Buffalo, and nobody knew how good he was.
Yeah.
And he goes to Buffalo, and it was but I only saw him in practice. That was it.
Right.
In Chicago.
If you guys knew it, if you guys knew what you knew then, what you know now, you would have had Belfour playing half the games and Dominic playing half the games. You'd have the best goaltending tandem in the history of the NHL.
Yeah, you know who the goalie coach was back then was Treshak.
Wow.
He was the goalie.
There you go.
Yeah, he's the guy that found him in Czechoslovakia, right? And then the trainer and massage guy was from Russia. So we had this Russian influence team back then. And
the Czechs.
Yeah. And so Dominic, Belfour was obviously outstanding, right? And nobody knew how good Dominic was. Nobody. I can't remember trade. I'm trying to think of who came from Buffalo. What that deal was. Perhaps maybe somebody else knows about who Buffalo gave up to get Dominic back in the day.
Yeah, Dominic. I don't think it was a lot, if I remember correctly.
Was it Hossa or who was it? I just can't recall who that was. And obviously Dominic hadn't played much, so nobody really knew, and that they had Belfour and
Beauregard. Wait a second. No, that's all right. That's all right.
I can't recall who.
Stefan Beauregard and a 4th-round pick.
There you go.
Okay, interesting.
Beauregard and a 4th-round pick.
Right. Yeah. No, I again, nobody knew. Nobody knew the potential of Dominic. When I retired, that's exactly when he came to Buffalo. When I retired, so I got to see him play during those years.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to ask you about their Sabres today. What do you think of Buffalo? They're having a pretty good season, I think, surprising.
Well, they're off to a better start than they've had in a few years, and that's been their downfall in previous years where they get behind the 8 ball, right, early. Yeah. So if they can play 500, which is about what they're doing, it's a better start than I've had in a while. I look at Florida, and not just the fact that they won the Stanley Cup as a comparison, but I think with Buffalo, they've got 4 or 5 goalies right now that are all obviously NHL caliber goalies. So what about trading one or two of those guys and getting somebody that's been around for 4 or 5 years that's a proven player, rather than waiting on these draft picks that they've had an umpteen amount of draft picks for 14 years of not making the playoffs, right? But Florida adds 2 or 3 guys, even though they've won the Stanley Cup and been to the finals the last 3 years. They still add a couple of components to the team of guys like, I'll give an example, Seth Jones. Seth Jones, Marsden. Yeah, so you pick up a couple pieces of the puzzle every year, and the Islanders used to do this, and the Edmonton Oilers this when they were winning cups. They still added 1, 2, 3 guys, like Butch Goring goes to the Yankees, right, from the Kings. So they added these pieces of the puzzle, and Buffalo just needs to add a couple of guys that are proven that can maybe put them over the hump, perhaps. And they've let some guys go over the years that are now. Look at Reinhart in Florida. Look at O'Reilly.
Right.
What he's done. Since he left. So they've gotten rid of some guys that, over some money or something. So I think the management piece of the puzzle is got to be in question. You'd think, with that many high draft you compiled? Yeah. And why do you sit around and wait 3 to 4 to 5 years to see if somebody comes to fruition? They're waiting around on these guys. Okay, right now they've got 5 goalies that can apparently all play. Why not get rid of 2 of those guys and get a couple people that can play with some grit, that have maybe some playoff experience, some playoff success, and maybe they need leaders. When Eichel was here, he wasn't ready to be captain of the team. He wasn't ready to be captain. Right now, so he's in Vegas, and all he has to do is show up and play. He doesn't have to be captain.
And look what he is, yeah.
And then again, at the time, to make him captain, he wasn't ready for that.
Too much pressure for a young guy, and he's not a McDavid. He's not the same kind of guy as McDavid.
At that age, and again, now he can sit in the back and just play his game. Yeah, and that's exactly what he. So that was
win the occasional Stanley Cup, that type of thing. Right?
Well, no, but I mean exactly that. But I mean that was the situation. If you're given a comparison of people that have been here, left here, and gone elsewhere, and ironically have had success. Obviously, Eichel. I bring up Reinhart.
Yeah, Reinhart. Of course.
No, and that was over some money or something for him. Before the salary was what it is today. But it's amazing. Owen Power was my neighbor, and a few of the other guys from the Sabres were living in my building. And it's just amazing, you've had 1 or 2 years. And again, you show promise. Okay, great. But you get 7 years at $7 million a year when you're showing some promise. I just can't believe the money today. I scored 40 goals and got a 3-1. Which was huge. 3 years plus an option. There were no 7-year deals back then. After you show promise, we're going to give you 7 years. It wasn't like that. You had a 2-way contract. Scored 37 goals, and you still have a 2-way contract where you can go to Rochester, New York, and make $50,000 or something.
Right. So what? So what? Yeah, money it's astronomical today. It's over the top, and the cap keeps going up. But so, who do you think is the team that wins the Stanley Cup this year?
You know what? It's I think there's always sort of a half a dozen teams that you could say, given the right thing. I think with the playoff format, I don't need to see Dallas and Colorado playing in the first round. When I remember when 16 played 1, 15 played 2.
Yes.
14. To me, and I know why they changed it because of the different divisions and so forth. Like we played
division rivalries. Yeah.
Well, we played Vancouver 2 years in a row. So we beat them. It was 3-5. So we beat them 3 games straight. So sure enough, the building in Buffalo was sold out for the first 2 games. Okay, we're playing Vancouver. Played them twice during the year, maybe. Yeah. Then we go to Vancouver. It's sold out in Vancouver. So as far as the people going to the game, if Colorado plays Boston in the first round, people are still going to go to the game. It's going to be a sell regardless. But I don't need teams that might win the Stanley Cup playing in the first round, beating the shit out of each other.
Right.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, Florida doesn't need fucking Tampa Bay in the first round.
Right.
So here are two teams that could possibly win the Stanley Cup, and they're playing in the first round. So, it just, I think.
Well, it was at least in Florida last year in the second round. In my opinion, that was the Stanley Cup right there.
No, but I mean, you're right in saying that, and that's a good comparison as well. I just bring up this because West Coast, I don't see the games a lot. The Colorado, Dallas,
right.
And, some teams, Edmonton playing somebody in the first round where they could get Kings or whoever. But you're right about the comparison about the Leafs playing that.
Florida,
where they shouldn't. They maybe play them in the finals or something. If it boils. So anyway, that's what I think about the format and saying that revenue-wise, everybody's still going to be watching on TV. Everybody's still going to be going to the games. It wouldn't make a difference if Toronto's playing, Vancouver. I'll throw that out. Montreal, maybe, or something where it's just, okay, you finish first overall in the league, you get to play the 16th place team. And then you get a chance to win. And then you play the 10th place team in the second round or something. Where you get rewarded.
I don't mind the West versus East. 1 versus 8 in the West, 1 versus 8.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, because that's enough geography for me. You know what I mean?
No, I like that. I like the 1 versus 8.
Yeah.
Your idea. I like that.
Yeah.
The 1 versus 8 on both sides.
Yeah. That's what you should be rewarded for winning your division, and that gives you a little more to play for in the regular season. I think that's a good thing. And then, if you just squeak in the playoffs, anything can happen, of course.
No, but I like the 1 versus 8. I like it on both sides. I like that. Yeah. That's a great idea, by the way. By doing it that way.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, thank you for your time. But I've got one more question for you. We're partnering with a group called Believe, Become, Be You. It's a mentorship program for kids 10 to 17. Inspired by the late Sean Gindy, led by Papa Jack Gindy. What's the message that you would have for any kids who might be struggling to find their way?
Yeah, I think preparation, and I think perseverance. Whenever you think it's a tall hill to climb or something that is an obstacle, I just believe in overachieving and believing that you can overachieve. Which I did at many levels, and striving every day. And I think consistency is another thing that if you work hard, given hockey, every day, every night, practice, and I think off-ice training is very important. It helps. And just perseverance, I think, was the one word, if I was to say about how I made it, in the National Hockey League in hockey, I just think I strive to persevere. And that was probably the most important word that I can remember that I used in my day-to-day mental preparation, just perseverance, that you can any obstacle you can overcome. And obviously being a black hockey player, I had to overcome a lot of obstacles. I at one point I thought the N-word was my middle name. I got called it a lot in my life. And that probably drove me to prove people wrong. I'm going to do this. Beyond, being thought of as a second class, being a minority, if you will. So, yeah, I just think perseverance, I think, is the main component, I think. And not just sports, but maybe in life, just persevering, I think. Yeah.
Right on. Perseverance, yeah, because you might just surprise yourself, right?
No, in broadcasting. Yeah. In broadcasting, perseverance for you.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you got it. Yes, there's. I got told by a station in Camrose, Alberta, that they didn't have the ability to be that big of a marketer. You couldn't be. Yeah. So there you go. You persevere, buddy. You just do.
Was it Vic, Joe, that was on with us? Vic?
Yes. Yeah, Vic.
Thanks very much for your help. Very good.
You're welcome. No problem. Anytime.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, so thank you for joining us. It's been a slice, Tony. And when we come back, Joe Nieuwendyk lives out his childhood dream by finally playing for the Maple Leafs. In 1992, the best locally owned restoration companies came together with one goal: to make disaster recovery better for Canadians. And to this day, DKI remains one of the only 100% Canadian-owned disaster restoration groups in the market. Fire, flood, or storm damage. When things go wrong, the right help makes all the difference. With the right tools and local expertise, we handle everything from emergency response to full-scale restoration, getting homes and businesses back on track the right way. Because a home is more than four walls, a business is more than a building, and recovery is about more than repairs. When you choose DKI, you're choosing a company that's put Canada first since 1992. Locally owned, nationally backed, Canadian through and through. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center. Saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Hearing loss doesn't have to mean missing out. At Hear Canada, we help you take charge with a complimentary hearing assessment because confidence starts with clarity. Discover hearing aids, accessories, and expert care at your local hearing center. Not sure where to start? Our Hearing Health Guide has the basics for you or a loved one. It worked for us. Book your free assessment today at hearcanada.com. Conditions may apply. Three cups with three different teams, and the next move is to Toronto. And we were all thinking, hey, maybe this is number 4. But it didn't quite pan out that way, but you did have a couple of great series. You had one particularly good series. I'm sure that a lot of us were hoping would happen in Toronto. I'm sure you thought it could possibly happen in Toronto, but you had that great series win over Ottawa back in 2004. You scored twice in Game 7. They were almost carbon copy goals here, including the winner right here. Rister beats Patrick Lalime. The other goal was, like I said, pretty much a carbon copy. And that was a big goal. What would it feel like to wear the hometown blue and white and to score huge goals like that?
Well, I'll tell you, Joe, I played 20 years, and I think one of my most enjoyable years was the year I spent in Toronto. I loved it. I loved putting on that jersey, because I idolized them growing up, and I lived 40 miles down the road. And my buddy Gary Roberts was there, so I reunited with him. And to put that jersey on every night was special. All the history, my favorite players growing up, and now I was doing it. So my only regret there was that we had the lockout the following year.
Yeah,
and I was hoping after that that they would bring that team back because we had Brian Leach and we had a really good group. Mats was a terrific captain. We were close to winning a cup there, and I thought maybe they should have given that team one more chance to do it.
Discover the secret to timeless vitality at Renew Medical Center in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Our specialists unravel the science of aging, tailoring plans to defy its effects. Experience cutting-edge regenerative therapies such as stem cells and exosomes, addressing aging at its core.
It's a wonderful spot, and I highly recommend it for whatever you may need, whether you just want to feel better, you want to look better, have basically a quality of life, just to ramp it up a little bit as we age.
Liberate yourself from aging-related concerns, where accountability, technology, and passion for regenerative medicine converge. Begin your path to peak health and wellness with us. Schedule your appointment today at renewpv.com and elevate your quality of life.
Parents, what's the biggest fear for kids 10 to 14? A future they think they can't handle. At Believe, Become, Be You, we know confidence in the future is a habit we can build. Our course doesn't just prepare kids for the future, it seeds them with skills they will use now. For a limited time, the I Believe in Me Foundation is offering the first 1,000 kids and their parents 1 year free access. This priceless opportunity will save you over $2,000. This isn't just a course. It's a journey in developing life-enhancing skills that will grow with your child, fostering gritty minds, creative futures, and better bonds. Get signed up now at BelieveBecomeBeYou.com. That's BelieveBecomeBeYou.com.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, wherever you get your podcast from. Also, pick up our latest shows on YouTube. All of our past shows are on there. Clips, shorts, like and subscribe. It's free. Our socials are at Joe Swiss Tilley on Instagram and Threads. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show on Facebook. Thanks once again to Tony McKegney for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today, and let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Last but not least, we relaxed at a luxury resort and took a dip in the famous Dead Sea. This beautiful resort was a perfect way to cap off our incredible adventure in Egypt and Jordan. After days of exploring ancient ruins and bustling markets, it was wonderful to just kick back, put on a little mud, and soak up the sun by the Dead Sea. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the amazing cuisine in Egypt and Jordan. Don't forget to try the delicious local food like mouth-watering Egyptian barbecue. And the best part is that our Trip Oppo tour includes almost all of the meals, so you can indulge in the local cuisine without worrying about opening your wallet. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through Trip Oppo. Call them today. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit sleepyhollowcountryclub.com.